There are a lot of layers connected to navigating family conflict. And it's not as simple as just saying, oh, I'm having an argument with a friend or a boyfriend or a girlfriend, whatever. Family is different. This is the first thing I need you to consider. The number one rule of thumb when it comes to managing conflict in your family is you have to be objective. The number one rule of thumb when it comes to managing conflict in a family is that you have to be objective. We tend to have this proclivity to handle family in a non objective way sometimes because they are family. Now, look, this is going to be hard for y'all. I'm warming y'all up because when I get warm, it's going to be over. I'll be screaming in a minute. We tend to be very non objective when it comes to family because they are family. And here's the rule of thumb. When it comes to objectivity, objectivity looks like honesty first. All the other stuff is secondary. So when you're dealing with your family and there is conflict in your family and you're trying to manage the conflict in a successful way, you've got to remain objective. Now, this ain't gonna be pillow talk. Go find you a therapist, counselor, coach, psychologist that'll give you pillow talk. This is gonna be honest, direct conversation, as it always is. Without honesty, there is no objectivity. You cannot stick to the facts of anything without honesty. That absolutely includes conflict with your family. What is that honesty going to be about? Well, two things. That honesty, when it comes to family conflict, should be about two things. Number one, it should be about honesty about who you are. Would y'all believe me if I said to you that a lot of people who complain about family drama and family conflict and family discord are people who are right in the middle of causing it? I want you to put in the comments in all capital letters, levels. Before we're going to be honest about the conflict in our family, we got to be honest about ourselves and our cause in said conflict, because it's going to be a whole lot easier for you to address others when you first address yourself. The reality of the matter is, many of us have done you a disservice. You will reach out for the support of a therapist, a counselor, a coach, a pastor, whomever. You'll pay money to engage them. And instead of receiving feedback, honest feedback about your behavior and matters, they turn into talk sessions where you just pretty much just say how you feel. You're not held accountable. You're not challenged to be responsible or accountable or accept accountability. And they turn into 60-minute sessions where you just blurt what you want to say. And there are no solutions that help make you better. One of the things I tell my clients, I don't care if we're dealing with family conflict, if you're dealing with a divorce, if you're dealing with a breakup, you're dealing with problems with your kids, I don't care what it is. In any situation, before we are able to hold anybody else to a level of honesty, you've got to first hold yourself to that state. Objectivity looks like honesty first, but first, it is honesty with yourself. What is my role in this family conflict? Now, I'm going to say this to y'all. Y'all have to like this. Some people really are great at seeing what's wrong in situations and what's wrong with everybody else versus not seeing what's wrong with themselves. They're great at it. They're absolutely great at seeing what's wrong with everybody else but themselves. And this not only spans when it comes to family, this also spans into the workplace. This also spans into relationships. This also spans into your friendships. All of us know that one friend, that one person who lives a life that vicariously, everything is always wrong with everybody else but them. Self-evaluation, record it now. Self-evaluation will solve at least 50% of your family conflict. You know why? Because it's going to deal with the one person that can't nobody else deal with better. That's you. My family did this. They did this. They did this. My daddy did this. My mama did this. I listen and I listen. And I let them get it out and they cry and I let them cry and all that stuff. And that's great. But before we go in on them and how they can gain from that, I give them a moment to give me a couple of moments to tell me about their role. And a lot of times, many of my clients are shocked because they've never had a person ask them about their role in their own conflict. And true growth first starts when you evaluate your role first. I'm dropping nuggets and my stomach is growling. Put it in the comments. Everybody else isn't always the problem. I don't even know if the English proper. I don't care. I'm tired. I'm hungry. Everybody else isn't always the problem. Your first job when you're evaluating any situation is always to start with evaluating yourself. After you've been honest about who you are, is the second thing. Then you can be honest about family members. What does that look like, Doc? What does it look like for me to be honest about my family members? Well, there are no special rules when it comes to objectivity. Meaning, when we say we're going to be objective, we don't say stuff like, well, I'm going to be objective about this situation, except for blah, 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 blah. Or I'm going to be objective about this, except for, no. Objectivity is an all or nothing deal. So when it comes to objectivity, there are no special rules. And that includes your family. Why is this important? Because if you're going to solve some conflict about your family, you got to be honest about how people in your family behave. This is after you've been honest about your part. Now, I get it. Your family don't ever do nothing wrong. Your family ain't ever caused conflict, drama. But most of us, this ain't the case. Some of the reasons why many of you are dealing with family conflict is just because you won't acknowledge the fact that you have dysfunction in your family. Not my family, Doc. We don't have no dysfunction, Doc. Not us. And if we do, what happened in this house, stay in this house. It sounds good until people get grown and they're dealing with all the trauma from what happened in the house. Your honesty also includes being honest about the dysfunction that is in your family. By being honest about the fact that, yeah, you do have some people that may not handle things the right way. You do have some people that you might need to be cautious of. No, blood thicker than water. No, not if you put a whole bunch of sugar in there. Put a whole bunch of sugar in there and put some honey in that water. It'll thicken up just like blood. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this when I get to the third thing. But you're going to have to admit, and yes, that includes, great question. That includes your in-laws. That includes everybody. Y'all family. Everybody family. You might not be blood family, but your family. You know, some of you are being honest. A lot of you are being honest, Doc. We ain't got no family. Perfect. You'd be shocked. You'd be shocked at the number of clients I've talked to who literally try to defend the dysfunction of family members. I'm not telling you to turn against your family. Being honest about something isn't turning against it. Both things can be correct at the same time. So calling something like it is not turning against your family, but ignoring it is perpetuating dysfunctional behavior. And many people are guilty of that. There is so much conflict in your family because turning a blind eye to that conflict is far worse than pointing out the dysfunction that's in your family. One really good, clear green flag, if you're dating and you're meeting people and you're getting to know them, one green flag in meeting someone and getting to know them is if they are honest about the flaws in their family. That's a really good positive sign. Because frankly, it takes courage to admit that you come from a place where there's some dysfunction. The green flag. We talk about red flags, but that's a clear green flag. I want you to remember this. This is going to be a mouthful. You ready? Record this. Put it in your journals. You're going to be the smartest person at the water cooler tomorrow heading into the weekend. Lord knows I can't wait till the weekend gets here. I want you to record this now. You ready? Where there is no objectivity, three things cannot exist. What are they? Where there is no objectivity, there is no ownership, responsibility, or accountability. Record it. Where there is no objectivity, which means I'm going to call a spade a spade. Where there is no objectivity, there can be no ownership, responsibility, or accountability. And this includes your family. If there is no objectivity related to your family and the dysfunction that is in your family, there can be no ownership, responsibility, or accountability, which is why these cycles of problems, conflict, drama, whatever it is, tend to perpetuate themselves over and over and over again in a lot of families, because when there is no objectivity, then there can be no things like conversations where you encourage people to own stuff, or conversations where you encourage people to take responsibility for their behavior, or conversations, talks, engagement, where you encourage people in your family to take accountability for their behavior. Not just well, that's just who they are stuff. Well, you know, that's just aunt such and such, uncle such and such. That's just daddy. That's just mom. That's just what they do. Well, when you operate like that, thank you, Sakina, for the salad. When you operate that way, you're operating in a space where there is no objectivity. When you're operating in a space where there is no objectivity, then there is no ownership, responsibility, or accountability. And I don't care if that's your sister, your mama, I don't care who it is. Where there is no objectivity, there can be no ownership, responsibility, or accountability. These cycles of family drama that you've been dealing with, many of you have been dealing with for years, will never get resolved until objectivity shows up. Meaning, you got to call a spade a spade. If folk crazy, you got to call them crazy. If people are sometiming, you got to call them sometiming. Doc, are you telling me to be disrespectful? No, there's a way to do things. Don't y'all be extreme. I know this is the internet. I feel like I have to explain every little thing because Lord knows sometimes I wonder if people just think. So I shouldn't have to explain every little thing. That should be common sense. When I'm teaching healing, right? The goal is not for you to curse people out and call them crazy names, but you can tell the truth in love. Grow so you can tell the truth in love. Some of you absolutely ignore objectivity in your family. And then you do crazy stuff. You want to address people in your family in an honest way about their craziness, their behavior. But you know what you do? You'll get on social media and put up memes and posts talking about family. And that's wild. When all you got to do is pick up the phone and call your family. Y'all, we will never address this if we think objectivity doesn't belong to family members. Because again, I want to say this really loud and clear. Where there is no objectivity, there is no ownership, there is no responsibility, and there is no accountability. What you don't address, i.e. what you choose to ignore, you're going to get more of. And here's the breaking news. Your family is not the exception. You cannot wait all your life to address this stuff. Now, y'all can say they should know all of this stuff you want to. I'm not going to give y'all a generational studies breakdown again, because I would gladly do it because a lot of my research was grounded in this. But the reality is, information age, many of your parents didn't grow up with the internet. Did y'all realize that or not? Many of your parents thought counselors and therapists were of the devil. Many of your parents, grandparents, thought you didn't need that. All you needed was Jesus and a whooping. And y'all gonna sit up here and hit me with the they should have known stuff? No, I'm not protecting nobody. I'm an equal opportunity truth teller. People don't like it, but I tell the truth, and I let anybody who's gonna get hit. And the truth of the matter is, the lost generation or the silent generation, which is the generation before the boomers, did not grow up with Google. They didn't grow up with the internet. And boomers got it later in life, right? Watch your parents in their late 50s, 60s, 70s try to talk to Siri and navigate the internet. It's a funny sight. Information is a new thing for them. For us, it's the norm. So to suggest that they should have known or they should know this stuff ain't all the way accurate. And let me take it a step further. Y'all ready? I'm gonna really piss y'all off. Let me just go on and do it. If I'm being 100% honest, they had less information and in many ways were a whole lot smarter. We got more information, and in a whole lot of ways we real dumber. But you know what they had that's missing in this generation? Doc, why is your work so powerful, so impactful, Doc? Why do you have this? Why do you have 900 and what? I think I'm in the 40s now. 940 some odd clients in 29 countries now. How did that happen? Yeah, I know the conceptual stuff. A lot of my stuff is laced in common sense. Good old-fashioned common sense and wisdom. That's what's missing in today's time. And it's funny that this generation, whole lot of technology, ain't got a lot of common sense. We equality this, diversity this, hear me this, my voice this. We're all of this stuff, but common sense, can't spell it. Technology has made us informed and shallow at the same time. So I get it, y'all. I'm not taking up for the elder generation that sometimes when you have these conversations with them, you want to talk about the dysfunction in the family with the elder person. I'm going to talk about that when I get to point number 3. I know how difficult that can be because a lot of times they can be older and stuck in their ways. Yes, I get it. But y'all, all of this ain't their fault. My grandma had an 8th grade education, man. Y'all hear me talk about my grandma all the time. One of the wisest people I ever known. So that's where healing starts. It starts with honesty.
Listen, y'all, I hope this made sense. If it did, I want you to type church in the comments with 3 R's. And then I want you to remember you've got 2 jobs. 1, be better today than what you were yesterday. And 2, don't forget what I told you.